Hey guys, welcome to June's Mini Garage. In this tutorial, I'm gonna show you how I lower and stance my 124 scale model cars. Let's get started. The kit I am currently working on is a Nissan S14 from Fujimi. However, if you have a different kit made by a different company, the fundamentals should be pretty similar as long as you know the basics of suspension system. Also, I would recommend modifying your suspension in the preparation stage because once your model is all painted and finished, it's really hard to lower it as everything would have already been glued together. Right now, the rear suspension is temporarily assembled, and as you can see, the stock ride height is a bit too high for my taste, and there is a gap between the wheel and the quarter panel which I don't want. So first, I cut off a portion of the rear strut and then reattached it with super glue to make the length of the strut shorter. For this build, I will be replacing the stock wheels with some GTR wheels from a Tamiya model kit. But the wheels from Tamiya have male fittings while Fujimi usually has female fittings. So I have to cut out the end portion from the rear axles so the Tamiya wheels can slide into the brakes. After that, the rear suspension is basically done. All I have to do is test fit everything again to see if it has achieved the result I'm looking for. And I think it looks good. Now onto the front, which is pretty much the same procedure. In order to have some kind of negative camber, I have to drill a new mounting hole next to the original mounting point into the chassis. And instead of drilling one hole, I have decided to cut a small slit so the front camber can be now adjustable. Since the position of the strut has moved inward, I have to grind down some material from the chassis so the strut can be mounted. And just like the rear, I cut off a portion from the front strut to make it shorter. The following step is entirely optional. I just thought the stock strut from the kit looks a bit too skinny and it could use some reinforcement to make it look more realistic. To compensate for lost height, I am adding a spacer to the lower control arm. The spacer is just an extra poly cap that comes with the kit. I also have to remove some material from the lower control arms so the wheels can fit in properly. Generally, this step isn't necessary, but the GTR wheels are much wider than the S14 wheels. I have to sand down the inner fender a bit so the wheels can clear the fender. Again, I'm adding a spacer to the front brakes because of the wider Tamiya wheels, but if you use stock wheels, you shouldn't have that problem. To modify the steering rack, I cut off both tie rods and I drill a new hole into the rack. Then I make a new tie rod with some 18 gauge copper wires. Just make sure to start with the smallest drill bit when you are drilling holes into the steering rack and knuckles. After that, I installed everything back and see if there are more modifications to be made. this case, I would say it's a clean drop and it looks pretty good. So that's it. I hope this tutorial helps. If you have any questions, you can ask me in the comment section below. Feel free to subscribe for more future videos. You are also welcome to check out my other build videos on my channel as well.